everyone, I'm Maggie Weldon from maggiescrochet.com, and I'm here to introduce you to a bunch of new baby booty patterns that we're going to be featuring on YouTube, and these are all free patterns. And this collection here starts out with the same exact bottom, like you start with the toe and then you go to rows, and then all we did was switch off the cuffs on all of these, and we used different yarns. So all of these yarns that you see here are available at maggiescrochet.com, and the links to everything are going to be listed below, including the patterns and the yarns. And I thought I'd just show you a couple of them. This one is, these were made from Prism, and there's a blue, beautiful blue variegated color, and then the pink color, so you could see those here. This was a sport weight cotton yarn, and most of these are like sport weight or maybe a little bit lighter, but you can try using maybe a light worsted weight yarn. That would work also, and they might come out just a little bit bigger, but it'd be fun just to experiment with different types of yarns. This one was done with Cotton Fair by Premier, and this is Mary Maxim's Twinkle yarn, which we carry, and we also carry this one. These were done, I love these, were done with this Afternoon Cotton, which is, I think, sport weight. And I'm also going to be showing you other booties using different brands of yarn, and one of them I've already designed is Woolly's Thick and Quick, and I think that's as thick as you can go for a baby booty, but it's really, really adorable. So I've already designed those, and those are really cute. Those will be coming out in the future. So this will introduce you to a lot of different baby booties, and there might be additional ones other than these also. So I hope that you enjoy these projects, and right now I'm gonna take you to a close-up, and Christina is going to show you how to make these adorable little gifts that you can give away and use for your baby.
Hey everybody, it's Christina from maggiescrochet.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable little baby booty. This is made out of Prism yarn by Mary Maxim. This is the rainbow color, as you might could have noticed. This is a really super cute, super easy project. It's pretty much all double crochets, a few single crochets and slip stitches thrown in, but a very easy project. So of course you'll need your yarn. Prism does come in a couple of different colors. I like the rainbow. It's a nice light. It has a good deal of pink in it. There's another color that's got more blues and greens if you wanted to make more boy booties. You also need your crochet hook. Now I need to use a size E to get the proper gauge for this project. I believe the pattern says a size B or C. I had to go up to an E, so go ahead and take a minute and check that gauge before you get started. You'll save yourself a lot of headache later if you'll just go ahead and check it now. You also need your yarn needle and your scissors, clippers, whatever you like to use for trimming off your ends. To get started, grab your Prism yarn, and you're going to start by chaining 4. And in the 4th chain from the hook, which would be the one closest to the slip knot there, you're going to work 11 double crochets. So yarn over, insert down into the chain stitch there, grab a loop and pull it through, pull through 2 loops, pull through the other 2. So I'm just going to do that 10 more times, and this will make my starting circle. So I finished doing my double crochets. Now you may be like me, as you work into that first chain, sometimes it has a tendency to stretch out. It's not a problem at all. That's why we make a slip knot. Just grab the end of your starting tail and pull it gently, and it'll just close that right back up, just like that. Perfect. So I've got 12 double crochets here, including the chain 3 that I did to start with. We are counting that as a double crochet. So that's the end of my first round, and I'm just going to slip stitch these together going into the top of that chain 3, and just work a little slip stitch right there. Now, I like to leave my starting tail on for a little bit. Some people leave it in right away. I like to leave it there for a little bit because it reminds me which side is the wrong side and which side is the right side, which would be this one right here that I'm looking at right now. So I'm going to leave that hanging there just for a little longer until I get a few more rows in. For round 2, start by chaining 3, work a double crochet in the same stitch, and then you're going to work 2 double crochets in each stitch around. So at the end of round 1 we had 12 stitches. At the end of round 2 we should have 24. So here at the end of round 2 I do indeed have 24 stitches all the way around. I'm going to just go ahead and join with a slip knot again to the beginning of the round. Now rounds 3, 4, and 5 are all the same. You'll start by chaining 3 and then working 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. So my first one would be right here, and then I'll just keep doing 1 per stitch all the way around. When I get to the end of the row, I'll join again, and then I'll repeat for rows 4 and 5, and I'll come back when I get to that point. At the end of round 5, you should have something that looks a little bit like this. You can go ahead and cut your end once you get to round 5. Now before we continue, remember how I said I leave my tail on the back of my work when I'm working in rounds? Well, that means this is the wrong side. So before I continue, I just want to flip that inside out. And that's just because of the way when I crochet in rounds, the right side always kind of ends up in the middle. But now we've got the right side facing out. And taking our same yarn, slip knot on your hook, we're going to join it 12 stitches away from where we just ended. It should be pretty much halfway across, but we'll go ahead and count just to be sure. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is going to be that one right there. So just insert your hook down into that stitch. Grab a loop, pull it through, and then pull it immediately through into a slip knot, and now you're joined there. From here, go ahead and chain up 3, and then you're going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch around. Now, you may be asking, why are we doing it this way instead of just continuing up from where we were? Well, take a look here. This is where we just finished off, and you can see fairly obviously where all of the slip stitches were joined and where we jumped up to start the next row, especially since we're working a variegated yarn here, and you can see the colors kind of jump. So we want to make sure this is on the bottom of our booty, so that's not quite as obvious. So that's why we're going to start up here now. So I'm going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch around, and when I come back to the beginning, I'm not going to join them. I'm working in rows now. So when I get to the last stitch, I'll chain 3, turn, and then work just back and forth. So this is row 6. I'll do the same for rows 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then I'll come back and show you where we'll go from there. So I've just finished row 11. I cut my yarn, but I left a nice long end. We'll need that in just a minute. But you can see how since rows 6 through 11 were worked as rows and not as rounds, we've got an opening here now, and that's the ankle of our booty. And then here on the bottom are the round changes for the little toe there where the color jumps are. So now that's on the bottom. And we've left our long tail here so we can sew the back closed. So I find the easiest way to thread a yarn needle is take your yarn, kind of fold it in half, pinch that between your fingers, take your yarn needle, and just kind of wiggle it down over the yarn, just like that. Also, having a yarn needle with a really big eye helps too. So we just want to line up the edges and just sew this little back seam shut. I like to do a couple extra stitches right here at the very beginning. And then when I sew down the side, I'll usually do I'll go down about 2 stitches, come up through, go back, and do a little bit of a back stitch. So then I'll go down about 2 stitches or so, go back 1, and that way I'll get a really nice, strong, sturdy seam. And sometimes your yarn will decide to unthread itself, but that's okay because you know a super easy way to thread it back on. Also a good reason to make sure your tail's nice and long. You'll have a lot less trouble with it coming unthreaded as long as you make sure you leave enough. So I'll finish doing this down the back of my booty and weave in any loose ends that I have left over. So I've got a nice tight back seam now, good even pressure all the way down. So the only thing left to do is put on the cuff, make the top of it pretty. So take your yarn, tie a slip knot on your hook with it, and we're going to join with a single crochet into the end of the double crochet row right here next to the seam. So I'm going to take that double crochet right there on the end, put my hook right under it, grab a loop, pull it through, then pull a loop through both of those loops. So we're counting that as our first single crochet. In that space, go ahead and do 2 more single crochets. And then in each double crochet space around, you'll do an additional 3 single crochets. So by the time you come back around to the back of the booty and the seam, you should have 36 single crochet stitches. When you get back to the back seam after doing all your single crochets, just go ahead and join your round together into the first single crochet you did. Just insert into there and do a little slip stitch, just like that, to pull that together. For round 2, go ahead and chain up 4, and we're going to count that as 1 double crochet and 1 chain. For the rest of the round, you'll skip the next stitch, and the following one work a double crochet, chain 1, skip the next stitch, in the following work a double crochet, chain 1, skip the next stitch, work a double crochet in the following, and you'll just continue doing that all the way around, creating these little windows that we'll use later. So go ahead and work all the way back around to the seam again. When you come back around to the seam after having worked your last double crochet and chain stitch, you'll just want to join into the original chain 4 that you did. So join into the 3rd chain, so count up 1, 2, 3. And there's the end of round 2. Now for rounds 3, 4, and 5 of the cuff, they'll all be worked the same. You'll chain up 3, and then it's just double crochets. So we'll work a double crochet into every chain space and a double crochet into the top of every double crochet. So for the chain spaces, you just, after you yarn over, just go right down into that big hole we just made and work your double crochet around that. Rounds 4 and 5, you'll just work a double crochet into every double crochet. So joining when you come back to the seam and then chaining up to do the next round. So I'll come back after I've done that and then show you how to put on the finishing touches. Once you finish your 3 rows of double crochet, your booty will be done. You can go ahead and clip off your thread and weave in the ends. The only thing left to do is, with using a double strand of your yarn, make a chain. This is probably about 15 inches long, give or take a little bit. And what you're going to do with this is, starting at the front of the booty, you're going to weave it in and out of the holes that you made in round 2 of the cuff. I find this pretty easy to do with my fingers. You may want to grab a crochet hook to help you pull it through, probably a larger one than the one you actually used for the booty itself. But we'll just weave this all the way through until we get back around to the beginning. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And in the description, you can find the links to the pattern, the materials, and everything else you'll need for this project. One more thing I want to say, and that's about working with variegated yarn. I'll tie that in a bow in a minute. So here's the one I just made. And here's the one that I had made beforehand. Now, no, they don't match. They go together because they're made out of the same yarn, but they're not going to be all matchy-matchy unless you go through the trouble of making sure that you start each one with the same thread. So I would have had to, see, the other one had a green toe, so I would have had to skip working with all this yellow and just start with the green, and then they would match up a little bit better. So if you want to do that, that's totally up to you. Like I said, not necessary. I can tell these go together because they're made out of the same yarn. But if you like them to be a little more matched color-wise, then you can certainly do that before you start. And then you just tie your little bow, and you have your finished baby booty. Thanks for watching, guys.
And this is the third part, which we're going to do the edging round. So at the end of row 13, so what that is to just go between these two shells and go into that space right there and work a single crochet like that.